If you've ever watched the movie The Dark Knight, right, which is a fantastic movie, I'd recommend anyone go and watch it because it's absolutely fantastic. There's a scene early on in that movie where Bruce Wayne is stitching up an injury to his arm, all right, and his butler Alfred says to him, "Know your limits, Master Wayne," and he says, "Batman has no limits." He responds by saying, "Well, you do, sir." All right. Now, you could look at that scene, all right, and you could describe that for Deontay Wilder, right? And you could describe it for other fighters as well, right? An example I'm going to give would be Anthony Joshua, right? You look at Anthony Joshua, even prior to his defeat to Andy Ruiz, okay, he spoke openly about the fact that he expected to lose, right? He knew that eventually, he knew he was vulnerable. He knew his limits. He knew his limitations as a fighter. All right? So, I'm sure he never went into the ring, expecting that, I'm going in here to lose. No. I'm sure he was always confident of victory, but he was always aware of his limitations. Okay? Because if you act like you have no limits, if you have no limitations, when those limitations are brought to the surface, it can be devastating for you mentally, subconsciously, whatever way you want to describe it. It can. So when AJ got beat by Andy Ruiz, got dropped 4 times, embarrassed in MSG, what did he do? He came straight back out, no, silence, none of this, said whatever he needed to say, wanted the rematch, went in and won the rematch. Okay? Now, Deontay Wilder going into the rematch with Tyson Fury, right? In a sense, he believed almost that he had no limitations. He believed that he could be losing every minute, every second of every round. And in one split second, he could turn everything around. He believed, and he said it, that once someone gets in the ring with him, irrespective of the beating he puts on them, whether it's a tremendous beating or whether it's a one-punch knockout, they're never the same fighter. Which is exactly what he believed when he saw Tyson Fury struggle. And he did struggle with Otto Wallin, right? He believed that he could beat a prime Mike Tyson. Easy. He believed that there were fighters out there who were, terrified, quaking to get in the ring with him, right? Saying that Anthony Joshua would duck them. Acting like Luis Ortiz was, the best heavyweight to come along in the last 20 years. He was believing all this, right? He was acting like he had no limitations. So when he went in there with Tyson Fury, right, believing everything he believed, believing that he was incapable of losing, having his fans just gaslight everything he does, when he lost to Tyson Fury in devastating fashion, and it was, how do you think that played on his emotions? How do you think psychologically that affected him? Dreadfully. Of course it did. I mean, he literally went into the wilderness and we heard zilchum. From the last 8 months, we've heard literally nothing. Okay? And he decides on Saturday to make a video. And I actually find it funny because Michael Benson on Twitter actually released a list of the excuses we've had over the last few months about Wilder's loss. Saying that, Tyson Fury had, like an egg weight in his glove. Okay, and that he was spiked with muscle relaxers. And I want to big up Mark on Rival Boxing because he pointed out some very good facts, and they are, that if the muscle relaxer thing was real, then why didn't Deontay Wilder fail the drugs test straight after the fight? Because he would have, if he had muscle relaxers in his system. Okay? Tyson Fury, an egg weight in the glove which left a dent on his head. I mean, Mark used an analogy. I'm not going to use it, but he used a certain type of equipment that people sometimes use, and if you hit them over the head with that type of equipment, they are going to look like a dickhead. I can use that. The type of equipment I'm talking about. Someone put that in the glove, would they have that mark on them? Obviously, of course, they wouldn't. And you take into consideration as well that those gloves Fury were using in the rematch were Paffin Sport, which I believe are foam gloves. Now, if you put material in a foam glove, you're going to smash your hand because it's going to be on your knuckles, obviously on top of the wraps. The minute he hits you, he's going to hurt himself as well. All right. all these allegations that he made against Tyson Fury, and he's saying that he has proof of them. Well, again, like, why aren't you going to court? You know, if these allegations are true and you have proof, why aren't you, taking legal action? It's a fair point. You know, if someone's wronged you in such a way, surely the only way to go about it is take that person to court. You know, and he's not doing that. You know, the team, Wilder and his team, they chose to let this contract expire. You know, contract expired now. I mean, that is literally, we've seen other fighters do this in the past. I remember Eubank Jr. did something not like this necessarily, but I remember when Canelo Triple G were fighting for the first time, and he called out the winner immediately after he joined to fight in the World Boxing Super Series, it was the World Series of Boxing, I should say. So he got locked into a contract that he couldn't get out of, and then was calling out the winner of Canelo Triple G, acting like, if they don't fight, they'll duck. You find it funny how people with this mindset, and Eubank Jr. has not got the strongest mindset in the world either. He's nowhere near as bad as Deontay Wilder. Oh, God, no. But, he's not exactly the strongest in terms of his mindset. He's an okay fighter, but, look at some of the things he said over the years. All right? It's almost like they want to be seen as, being the big guy, the brave guy, it's like, well, I want this fight, when there's no way it can happen, So he's basically saying, I want my fight now, even though Tyson Fury, if the contract is expired, he's not obligated to fight Deontay Wilder. And these accusations Deontay Wilder is saying, he is going to want to be careful, because when you throw accusations like that around, as I said earlier on, you want to be able to back them up, because Tyson Fury, if he knows these are demonstrably untrue, he's well within his right to say, that's defamation of character, let's see you in court. I spoke about that in the live stream, and I said, look, if that was me, and someone said that about me, and I knew it was demonstrably untrue, I'm not vindictive, I wouldn't sue, but I sure as hell would threaten to. I wouldn't do it. I'm not vindictive like that, I wouldn't do that, but I would threaten to. Deontay Wilder's mindset is all wrong. He has been gaslighted by his fans. He has listened to all the ridiculous excuses they've come out with. He has listened to his team. He's surrounded himself with yes men, like that little you-know-what, Jay Diaz, his little brother, who was a child. And I know he's older than me, he's in his 30s, but fundamentally he's a child with the way he behaves. He calls Mark Breland disloyal. Alright? The one person in that team who had his best interest at heart, the one person who actually seemed to care about Deontay Wilder, the one person who was willing to put his neck out there and save Deontay Wilder from himself, he calls him disloyal. This is not a mindset of someone who's going to win a rematch. This is not a mindset of someone who, in any aspect of life, irrespective whether it's boxing, is going to do well. When you look at certain people in life, all right, and I'm not going to say the losers in life, because some of them could be successful in other areas. They could have money, they could have this, that, and the other, but they might not be happy necessarily. If you look at the people who are, we'll say, maybe struggling a bit, and as I said, not in terms of finances, just in general, they have a weak mentality. They have a, blame everyone but me. I'm the victim. I'm the victim here. It's everyone else's fault I didn't get what I wanted. It's everyone else's fault I didn't win. Now, that mentality, without me, you don't need to be a genius to work it out that mentality ain't going to serve you well in the long run. Oh, no, it ain't. That mentality it's a terrible way to be. Because 9 times out of 10, when something's gone wrong in your life, when things didn't work out the way they should, there's a common denominator, and it's you. I've said about myself, in things I've done that have not worked out, it's been my fault. I'm happy, not happy, but I'll admit it. I'll always admit it when I effed up. Deontay Wilder just simply can't seem to do that. AJ was able to do it. Dylan White was able to do it. I'm sure if Tyson Fury took an L, if he fought AJ and he took an L against AJ, I'm sure he'd be the one to come out and say, yep, lost. It's what it is. And he wouldn't go into hiding for a couple of months and then come out when he's done a Floyd Mayweather, in a sense, because Floyd Mayweather, look at when Canelo announces fights, big fights, you always hear Floyd Mayweather tease a comeback. You know, when Canelo Triple G was announced, he was the one who was announced the first fight. He was saying, "Yeah, we're fighting McGregor." You know, it's like he always has to kind of join the party. And Tyson Fury fighting on December 5th, he's coming in there saying, you know, why haven't I got my rematch and this, that, and the other? Well, you're in the WBC rankings, you know. I mean, if you want to go to the UK, why don't you say, I'll take the voluntary, send me a contract, you know? I'll take the voluntary, you know. UK, December 5th, why don't you travel? You know, I'm trying to keep it as calm and as, you know, I don't want to go off on any tangents here or really rant, but I'm just pointing out what I think, and I think Wilder's mindset is just completely wrong. I mean, they talk about the winner's mindset. He is anything but in a winner's mindset with the way he's been going on, the way he's been carrying on, and the absolute you-know-what he's been coming out with. It's many things, but a good mindset, a winner's mindset, that it absolutely is not. Alright? So, I guess what I'm saying is that Deontay Wilder, should he choose to continue his career, I really don't hold out much hope that he'll be able to do anything. You know, if he does fight someone like a Fury again, it's like I've said several times, those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. How is he going to win if he thinks he did nothing wrong and he got beaten up and down the ring for 7 rounds? You know, how is he ever going to win? You know, and as I said, look at his team, a lot of yes men, people who don't have his best interest. I talked about in a live stream Tyrell Biggs being cashed out by the Duvas against Mike Tyson. This is similar, you know. Team Wilder, they just want to cash him out. They want to stick him in they want to, but I think Deontay Wilder deep down in his heart of hearts doesn't want this rematch or trilogy fight. I believe that deep down. And Team Wilder are just looking and saying, do you know what? We could put him in there against Martin. We could put him in there against Kalnaki, Ariola, but he ain't gonna make any money. You know, probably gonna take a hit in the show. He ain't gonna make us the money we want. If we put him in there with Fury, we all get paid well. He takes his beating. We can chuck him to the side then. We sail off into the sunset. We can keep our careers. His career is finished. You know? Tyrell Big style. That's what I think they're trying to do. It's a bit of a long video here. I hope you all got something out of it. I hope you enjoyed. I'm going to call it quits here. People, smash the like button. Smash the like button if you haven't already. The likes have been amazing as of late. So let's keep it going. Let's get this ball rolling on this video. I enjoy talking about this. I enjoy talking about the mindset and how he has that wrong perspective. You know, he's looking at it through the victim mentality, which is a bad mentality. Do not look at it through the victim mentality. Don't let people tell you you're the victim. Because 9 times out of 10 you're not. 9 times out of 10 is your fault. 9 times out of 10. Alright, so we're going to call it quits here. I hope you enjoyed it. Smash the like button, as I always say, if you haven't already. Subscribe, of course, guys, if you're new to the channel. You know, share the video if you enjoyed it, if you felt it was useful. I haven't said that in a while. And people, I'll talk to you. Peace.